Irfan, as a scientific and academic discipline, itself has two branches, the practical and the theoretical. The practical aspect of Irfan describes and explains the relationship and responsibilities the human being bears towards itself, towards the world, and towards God. Here, Irfan is similar to ethics, akhlaq. Both of them being practical sciences, there do exist differences, however, and later we will explain them. The practical teaching of Irfan is also called itinerary of the spiritual path. Traveling and journeying. Here the wayfarer, Salik, who desires to reach the goal of the sublime peak of humaneness, that is to say, Tawheed, is told where to set off, the ordered stages and stations that he must traverse, the states and conditions he will undergo at these stations, and the events that will befall him. Needless to say, all these stages and stations must be passed under the guidance and supervision of a mature and perfect example of humanity, who have traveled this path, is aware of the manners and ways of each station. If not, and there is no perfect human being to guide him on this path, he is in danger of going astray. The perfect man, the master, who must necessarily accompany the novice on the spiritual journey according to the Urafa, has been called in their vocabulary. Accompany my zeal on the path, O Ta'ir al-Quds. The path to the goal is long, and I new to the journey. Leave not the stage without the company of Khidr. There is darkness ahead, be afraid of losing the way. Of course, there is a world of difference between the Tawheed of the Arif and the general view of Tawheed. For the Arif, Tawheed is the sublime peak of humaneness and the final goal of the spiritual journey. While for the ordinary people and even the philosophers, Tawheed means the essential unity of the necessary being. For the Arif, Tawheed means that the ultimate reality is only God, and everything other than God is mere appearance, not reality. The Arif's Tawheed means that other than God there is nothing. For the Arif, Tawheed means following a path and arriving at the stage when he sees nothing but God. However, this view of Tawheed is not accepted by the opponents of the Urafa, and some of them have declared such a view to be heretic. Yet the Urafa are convinced that this is the only true Tawheed, and that the other stages of it cannot be said to be free of polytheism, shirk. The Urafa do not see the attainment of the ideal stage of Tawheed to be the function of reason and reflection. Rather, they consider it to be the work of the heart, and attained through struggle, through the journeying, and through purifying and disciplining the self. This, however, is the practical aspect of Irfan, which is not unlike ethics in this respect. For both discuss a series of things that ought to be done. However, there are differences, and the first of these is that Irfan discusses the human being's relationship with itself, with the world, and with God, and its primal concern is man's relationship with God. Systems of ethics, on the other hand, do not all consider it necessary for the relationship between man and God to be discussed. It is only the religious ethical system that give importance and attention to this matter. The second difference is that the methodology of spiritual progression, Sayr wa Suluk, as the words Sayr, traveling, and Suluk, journeying, imply, is a dynamic one, while ethics is static. That is, Irfan speaks about a point of departure, a destination, and the stages and stations which, in their correct order, the wayfarer must traverse in order to arrive at the final destination. In the Arif's view, there really is a path before the human being, a path that is actual and not in the least a metaphor. And this path must be followed stage by stage, station by station, to arrive at any station without having traversed the preceding one is, in the Arif's view, impossible. Thus, the Arif views the human soul to be a living organism, like a seedling or like a child whose perfection lies in growth and maturation in accordance with a particular system and order. In ethics, however, the subjects are handled solely as a series of virtues such as righteousness, honesty, sincerity, chastity, generosity, justice, and preferring others over oneself. Ithar, to name but a few with which the soul must be adorned. In the view of ethics, the human soul is rather like a house to be furnished with a series of beautiful objects, pictures, and decorations, and no importance is attached to a particular sequence. It is not important where one begins or where one ends. It is of no consequence whether one starts at the ceiling or at the walls, at the top of the wall or at the bottom, and so on. On the contrary, in Irfan, the ethical elements are discussed in a dynamic perspective. The third difference between these two disciplines is that the spiritual element of ethics are limited to concepts and ideas that are generally commonplace, while the spiritual elements of Irfan are much more profound and expansive. In the spiritual methodology of Irfan, much mention is made of the heart and the states and happenings it will experience, and these experiences are known only to the wayfarer of the path during the course of his struggles and his journey on the path, while other people have no idea of these stages and happenings. The other branch of Irfan is related to interpretation of being, that is, God, the universe, and the human being. Here, Irfan resembles philosophy, for both seek to understand existence, whereas practical Irfan seeks, like ethics, to change the human being. However, just as there is differences between practical Irfan and ethics, so also there exist differences between theoretical Irfan and philosophy. And in the following section, we will explain these differences.